Okay. 1,200 feet in the air. A nostril twitches. Down at sea level, not here, but 120 miles east, a priest of Soon is crucified to face the sea. One final insult by Umberlee worshippers. 20 feet above sea level, yes, where you are, in the crow's nest, a young captain of a privateer vessel wears the same crown of the ocean, although there's nothing on his head. He is looking down as his vessel grinds into the corner of yours. The boards of your deck break with a groan. "Whose boat is that?" he calls out. All of his crew replies in unison without breaking stride. "It's our boat." Roll fresh initiative. I think we can do that better. It's our boat.
Tierney rolled a 9.
Tierney with a 9.
4.
Gringrom with a 4.
13.
Lauren Danevere, 13.
I also have 9.
Alan Vaughn with a 9. Mr. Fang, roll her off. And Eden.
Eden rolled a natural 1 for a total of 2. That's how much he wants to be in this fight.
I think that fits well.
Alan goes last. It's easy to steal a kill.
I rolled a 5. On
Oh,
my
do I need to roll?
Yes.
roll flat d20.
I rolled a 3.
9 plus.
Tierney 9 plus, Alan 9 minus. Okay, let me roll a couple important ones over here. Distantly, things occur. Lauren Danevere. Where do we find you, Lauren? Are you still below decks? No, you are. You are at the bow of Sparrow. You are directly behind Grint Neaton. There is a privateer skirmisher facing you down.
Yes, I just climbed up the ladder and cast Haste on Brent. And now I'll cast Mirror Image on myself. Waiting patiently for Brent to go, this thing.
Grint, are you hasted? Do you feel this alacrity?
Oh, yes.
Anything else on your turn, Lauren?
Does Fifth Ed have the dodge action or no?
Fifth Ed does have the dodge action. You take it as your full action. So you use your action casting mirror image. So you do not have the ability to cast dodge.
Sure thing. I'll end my turn with. Sorry, I get confused between this and Pathfinder. All too often.
Totally. Tierney. Unless, was there anything else on your turn, Lauren? I'm sorry.
Nope, just casting Mirror Image. Moving on.
Mr. Fang.
My recollection is that we were focusing the copper-plated roach in front of me.
I
Can
believe.
you give me a visual rundown of the state of his bodice?
You absolutely can. He has been hit multiple times with multiple abilities. His plate armor is dented in the chest plate. It appears that he has taken not one but 2 magic missiles to the front of his chest. He has been... I'm cross-referencing who has been hit by what. This roach, this foul privateer in copper plate armor, has been hit by 2 magic missiles. So he is dented by force damage. It looks like his chest is probably a bit worse for wear, but he is still advancing on you, relatively healthy.
I'm going to look into the sky. Do I see the sun?
You do not see the sun. You see only up above, so it is still nighttime. Looking up above, you see only clouds.
That's fine. I'm going to take out my longsword and duel with this fellow. I'd like to try and strike a blow. This is the first time I've used this, so give me a moment to double check everything.
You test your new longsword in your hand. You've never swung this in anger before. This is the sword that Grint gave you. And now, at this important time, you do have to take a moment to get used to the weight of this thing in your hand as you go to strike somebody down. It takes you a moment to gather your bearings. You pull your weight back to swing.
$13 does not hit, I assume.
13 does not hit. You go right over his shoulder.
Still new to this thing. I would like to take the disengage action as a bonus. And I'm going to come up the stairs and hide behind the mast here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna hide behind the mast. That's what I'm gonna do. Set it.
You do so. You quickly elude the grasp of the two Sempian privateers, ducking and rolling and going right up the stairs. You see Alan up here by the stern of the ship. She is at the wheel. You take cover behind the mast. As you are taking cover, looking over your right shoulder, you can see two archers on the opposite ship bearing you down. Anything else with your turn?
No.
Alan Vaughn.
I will use the crossbow to try and shoot at the guy in the that thing, the nest.
The crow's nest, yes.
The crow's nest.
You shoot upwards at all that stands, who is up leering over you. He's 20 feet up in the air. You are up on the stern. You have a decent shot here.
Well, it's not a real decent shot. It's a 7, so
7 misses. He grins confidently. The crossbow bolt goes over his shoulder. The ship is smashing up against Sparrow. It's hard to keep a bead on him as both ships fight to stay on their path.
I will also use bonus action to disengage and, or not disengage, to hide and go next to Tierney and kind of nudge him. Hey, Tierney,
What?
I hope that Grint can take these guys because, looks like we're in a bit of a pickle.
Nope. I'm gonna kill them all.
Hey, I'd like to see it.
It's like
You
that
will.
skull went right through his head.
That's it for me.
The Sembian privateers go. All that stands calls out again, "Whose ship is that?" And as each of the privateers moves, they say, "That's our ship." Both privateer archers, one shoots at you, Tierney, one shoots at you, Alan. They each take a shot across both ships.
Do we have partial cover?
Tierney does.
Damn,
Alan, what is your AC?
really low. 12.
An arrow goes just by your head. Tierney, what is your AC?
17.
An arrow thuds in the deck next to you. At the bow of a ship, the skirmisher, feeling a bit outmatched, nonetheless takes a swing at you, Grint. What is your AC?
21.
His cutlass bounces off your breastplate. He disengages.
No, he does disengage.
He disengages, moving back and waiting for reinforcements. The privateer skirmisher at the stern of Sparrow moves up toward the stairs. He advances on you, Alan. Remind me your AC.
12.
He swings with his cutlass and hits. It finds your upper arm. Take 3 slashing. Both of the heavies go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are advanced on by the man that you swung the sword at. Tierney, remind me your AC.
I miscalculated last time. It's 19.
It's 19.
Forgot an item.
You miscalculated the other direction. Got it. He attempts to skewer you with his longsword, but misses. It goes between your left arm and your rib cage. You're just a little too fast. One, two, goes up there. Out of the hatch at the front of the privateer ship, another man clad in copper armor crawls out. The Druid of the Waves casts heat metal on you, Grint. Make a Constitution saving throw. You do not drop your sword, even as it heats up in your hand. Take 4 fire. The Priest of Umberlee advances across the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's measure that. 20, 10. That's as far as I can get. And he advances across the gangplank and looks across the deck. He points at the privateer heavy next to you, Tierney, and casts Cure Wounds.
How obvious is this action?
Extremely. He is casting spells in your face. He appears to be completely unfettered and is casting spells confidently as if nothing were amiss.
And it's like the dead of night, there's a light.
It is the dead of night, exactly. It is, there is dim illumination at best. What you're really seeing more than anything is the torches on the privateer ship that they lit as they smashed into Sparrow. And that is the end of their turn. Grint.
So Grant has this feeling wash over him. Everything seems kind of slow, just a bit. But he seems to have this understanding. And he moves very confidently up to Mr. Skirmisher here. This is Brent Plus. He feels almost bad what's about to happen. And he looks at this skirmisher. He says, "Son, if your gods are listening, I might ask them to turn away." This fucking guy in half. Yeah, I'm gonna take a hit to my hit to add some damage. We'll see how this goes.
You put the full force of your body. You
21.
drive through your hips and cleave into his waist. 21 hits. He seems rather tall. For now. You 31? You slice through his spine. You cut him in half. You cut him. You hope that his gods were looking away. Finding untold strength and alacrity within yourself, you disembowel him, cut through his spine, and instantly kill him. He has barely time to gasp in pain. From behind him, you see the priest of Umberlee hesitate as the skirmisher is quite literally cut in half. Anything else on your turn, Grant?
Oh, absolutely.
You are still moving with incredible speed.
This priest guy.
He is a dwarf.
Grint saddles right up to this guy and says, finally, nice proper challenge. We still have 3 attacks to go through. Because I just finished off a guy, which means my bonus action also uses to attack now. So let's get to it. What's his get up look like? Is he in a cloth robe?
He is. He is wearing a white cloth robe with blue thread sewn around the fringes. He seems rather old. He has a staff. He has his weight on the staff, and as you go and size him up, he chuffs at you confidently.
Is that right? Okay. I'll take another -5 on this one. Here we go. 17.
17 hits.
Is it dwarf? Probably about the same height then?
He is.
Fair enough.
You spear him through the shoulder. Your sword goes through his ribcage and out the other side. You grievously wound him with your sword. When you pull your sword back out, you realize that he is not dead. He still has an awful grimace on his face as he stares at you.
Grint swings again. This time a 15.
15 misses.
All right then. 14.
14 also misses.
Unfortunate. Lots of enemies. Let's take some momentum. Let's action surge.
You find even more momentum and power within yourself and push onward.
I'm assuming I'm just double checking here. I don't think haste will allow me to have another attack. I think it's 1 per turn.
Haste does not stack with so like action surge would not give you 2 actions back, it just gives you 1.
That's what I figured. All right, let's go again though.
Lauren, you feel a sense of pride as you watch Grint move with untold speed and power.
24.
24 hits. You slash at the priest of Umberlee. Your slash connects in his arm, cutting through his arm and several inches into his ribcage. He slumps forward on your sword and then falls down onto the deck. It remains your turn, Crinkrommel.
Indeed it does. I'm gonna move right between these two fine gentlemen right here. And how about the guy with the mohawk?
He's a druid. human, you think. Maybe a half-orc. He has crude features. He has a mohawk that has been dyed orange. It matches the armor of his brethren. He's lightly armored and has a large tribal necklace. He has been making your sword glow hot in your hand.
I was just about to say, this is the heat metal fucker. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Eden Cather. 15.
Yeah.
Are you you have an...
I have
Unreal.
multi-attack, basically.
What is this attack from? Because so you action surge?
Attack. So
Oh, this is now your level 5. Yes. Okay. Yep, okay.
And just for the record, I did in fact slay another person on my turn, so this next upcoming bonus action, also attack.
Anyone feeling like they should have played a fighter?
No, I want Grant to enjoy all of this.
Oh, the last your 15 was an AC check on the druid.
Correct, yes.
It misses.
Okay. So this is my last attack here. 23.
23 hits. He's at least 2 feet taller than you. A rather hulking man, actually.
21 damage.
You cut into his leg. Your sword easily cuts through the leather armor that he has protecting his thigh. It cuts through his quadriceps, exposing bone quickly. When you withdraw your sword, a huge torrent of blood shoots out onto the wooden deck.
I'd like to imagine my sword is still pretty warm. And Grint goes, stings like a bitch, doesn't it?
It does. He cries out in pain, gasping. You can still hear it despite the sound of the surf slapping up against the hulls of the ships. Eden Cather, you watch as Grint Grommel slices through 2 enemies and then goes across the gangplank, assaulting the enemy ship. It becomes your turn.
Well, it is very obvious that Eden has nowhere near the confidence that he has when facing demons. But watching Grint is a little bit like looking out towards the lighthouse in the middle of a stormy sea. This time, for the first time, maybe. I think that he, after watching everything, will turn towards the captain in his crow's nest and raise his voice, sort of having that like self-importance that nobility gives you, and says something like, well, clearly whatever you've heard about the people on board your boat, we're worse. We're armed, we're magical, and we took this boat with just the people that you see. So if you do not leave, we will not stop until every last one of you is buried at sea. So knowing this, do you condemn your own men to die?
You threaten no quarter. Roll persuasion.
Intimidation.
He won't be intimidated.
Yeah, persuasions. He rolled a 6. His voice is shaking.
Your voice is shaking. Eden, you do lack the confidence that Grint had. You call out, hoping to de-escalate this situation by appealing to the idea of you are condemning your men to death if you continue to fight with us. Unfortunately, your words fall on deaf ears. The crow's nest sways a bit in the cool night air. He looks down at you, all that stands, the captain. He raises an eyebrow. He calls out to you. We'll give you something. A rowboat and a day's worth of water. Give up your ship.
Did you hear that? They have water. Got it.
Um, can Eden turn to address the rest of the privateers?
Certainly.
Eden, feeling a little bit bolstered by his teammates' jeers in return, turns next to the privateers and, again, trying to sound important, says, well, you heard him. If I were to pay you lot twice what he has to take his ship instead, would you choose to condemn yourselves?
You call out to the privateers, offering double their pay. You get the sense that the finer points, the nuance of this negotiation, or they're considering their employment contract, is a bit much, as you realize that one of the skirmishers is cut into 2 pieces on the deck of your ship. It remains your turn, Eden.
Alright, does he still have actions?
What actions are you looking for? You still have some actions. You called out using your voice. I think much of this could have happened as Grinch was moving. You are trying to negotiate and move, so I think this is all happening concurrently. So yes, you still have some momentum here to move, call, act, do.
Alright, so I think knowing that he tried to appeal to the captain and failed to inspire the privateers in turn, he feels like he has no choice but to wade into battle. So he will try to wild shape.
You find your form changing. What do you wish to become, Eden?
The polar bear that he just learned about.
You become a giant polar bear, empowered by the power of the moon. One moment. Lauren, you see something peculiar. You watch as a man becomes a massive bear. In fact, actually, I believe a polar bear is a large creature. You feel rather sure-footed on the moving deck. Your paws are as big as one of your legs would be normally. You feel a sense of power.
He will use his movement to dash towards Alan and Tierney with the intention of trying to help protect them. Let's see. I think here.
You have 40 feet of move. You can get there, yeah. If you dash, you've got 80.
Wild shape was an action.
You're right. Alan and Tierney, you see something peculiar. There's a massive white-furred bear on the deck of your ship. It ambles towards you.
I see you read the book.
Suddenly, the pressure of the air drops perceptibly. Your breath catches in your chest. It starts to rain. You hear thunder. At the top of the order, Lorne de Nevere.
bear, and assured that Grint can handle his own, he will move up to this mast on the deck. I can't drag the character. Give me a sec. And is this man on the left here of Tierney Fang damaged?
He was. Now he's not. He was healed by the Priest of Umberly. He looks perfectly sure-footed, happy, hearty, and hale as he swings his longsword toward Tierney. You watch as a skirmisher wielding a cutlass also is up there, menacing Alan. They are both embroiled in melee combat near the stern of the ship.
Very well. This is adjusted my plans. I will cast Ray of Enfeeblement on this guy next to Tierney.
What is your spell DC? I was just about to look it up. I think I'm thinking of Ray of Poison. Let's see, or whatever that spell's called.
Spell attack.
Yep, this is you hitting. Yep. No problem. You reach out, Lauren. You point. Foul energy emanates from your fingertip. You try to, you try. An 11 does not hit. You try to point directly at this heavy wearing plate armor. Unfortunately, the ship lists slightly in the new storm, and you point just overboard.
Somewhat disheartened, he'll try to grab his bearings, catching hold of the mast. As a bonus action, I'd like to send Melon over there, Mr. Milan.
You do so. You telepathically communicate with your bat. One moment. You, helpfully, have a bat at your side.
I'll try to deliver him off the side of the ship to keep him out of harm's way. He will be traveling towards our two companions at the stern. Is that the stern or the bow? I was confused with this thing.
You are at the stern. You are at the bow. You are sending Millen to the stern.
This is as far as he can go.
His tiny black wings carry him above the choppy ocean. Tierney.
I'd like to take the shove action against this guy who is right at the edge of the boat. Feeling pretty strong.
Trying to shove him overboard.
That's what I'm trying to do. I saw Lauren try and cast Ray of Enfeeblement, not sure if it worked. This seems like an opportune time to put this roach to bed.
Because I'm right after Tierney, could I follow suit and try and assist him?
Sure. You're both on a, you're 9-, he's 9+, you're pretty much acting together. You try to feint to maybe get this guy a little bit off of his footing so that you're able to assist Tierney in just getting the better of him and shoving him overboard in that heavy plate armor.
Alan would grab a rope and try and pull his ankles out from under him to try, as he gets him to the edge of the boat, to try and push him over.
Got it. You grab a rope that is lying here on the deck, and you use it to try to trip this guy up and help Tierney get his mass overboard. Tierney, go ahead and take your attack, your shove.
26.
26 hits. He tries to contest it using athletics.
Or acrobatics, his choice.
He chooses athletics. He is a broad-shouldered man, and he tries to resist the force of your push. You and Alan work together. He looks down at the rope, and in the moment that he is distracted, you shove him overboard. Unceremoniously, he falls into the ocean silently. It is as if he was never there to begin with. His armor, you assume, is pulling him to the bottom. There is not as much as a bubble as he is lost forever in the wake of the ship.
I'd like to whip around and turn toward the Buccaneer remaining on the deck.
You do so. He watches as you shove his compatriot overboard. He
Your next boy, you better run. Trying to intimidate.
roll intimidation. You watch as he backs up. You have the opportunity to take, and you and Alan both have the opportunity as he backs up. He has his hands held up. You could take an attack of opportunity if you'd like.
I will.
You succeed in getting him to put his hands up. As he does so, you swing at him with the longsword.
$14.
14 hits.
Damage.
You notice something. As he puts his hands up, his belly is exposed. You stab it with the longsword. His leather armor does nothing to protect him. Alan, you watch as Tierney tells this man that he will suffer the same fate as his compatriot. As that man puts his hands up, Tierney stabs him in the guts. You have the opportunity to make an attack of opportunity, will you?
I would have been over here because I tripped the dude, and I'll use my crossbow to shoot him. I'll take a step to the left.
As he backs up, you take a step, giving yourself the best angle possible.
$24.
24 hits. You calmly raise your crossbow. You line it up directly with the side of the skirmisher's head. Tierney stabs him. He leans forward just a bit. From 15 feet away, you pull the trigger on your crossbow. The bolt goes right past the mast and lodges in his temple. He falls over dead.
Nice shot.
Thanks, same to you.
The Sembians move and go. Grint Grommel. You feel a bit hemmed in. From behind you, the privateer Heavy stabs at you with his longsword.
For the record, my AC's 23. Haste that's too.
21 seemed to I thought you had 21 before. Your incredible speed helps you even more to avoid these blows. He swings at you with his longsword, not once but twice. His first attack misses. He swings right, just inches behind your back. He swings again, going for an overhead stab. It catches the pauldron of your armor and does nothing.
I would like to get this man over.
Go ahead and swing it. His sword bounces off your armor. You viciously swing back.
Nat 1.
Roll D100.
God.
21.
You whip around to swing at the Heavy behind you. As you do so, the Druid of the Waves in front of you seizes the opportunity and shoves at you, trying to push you to the deck. Roll athletics. Let me know if you can't beat a 9. You are shoved to the deck. When you turn around to deftly swing at the heavy, the druid in front of you takes advantage of your clumsy swing and pushes you to the deck.
Rain made it slippery. That's all. Just a little slippery. It happens.
It is. Suddenly, it has started raining. You feel below you on the deck the slick, oily residue from this privateer's ship. The two archers, seeing the unseeable, a polar bear charging across the deck in the midst of the battle, both shoot arrows, attempting to shoot the bear on the side. What is the polar bear's natural AC?
It is 12.
You catch an arrow in the side. Another arrow goes just past your left ear. You catch an arrow in the front leg. Another arrow impacts in the deck. Take a total of 5 piercing. On the privateer ship, you watch as the hatch opens up again. Another skirmisher pops out of the front of the deck. Below you, you watch as Sparrow's starboard side is ground into nothing by the ship that is lashed to it. Grint, it becomes your turn, but you must spend your action getting back to your feet.
Yeah, I'm just checking to see if I can use the extra action to haste the
I don't think so. You were shoved to the ground.
So I have to use my actual action to stand up, but I do still get the one attack from haste, but I can't use that for multi-attack, which I prefer. But I still do have War Priest, so let's see how this goes. Grint is fucking pissed. That druid is not that druid's day. Grint is gonna take another -5 and try to just right here. Just get him right here.
Something I failed to mention but did roll was you broke his concentration when you cleaved him in the shoulder for 3/4 of his health.
All right. 18.
18 hits. You stab him in the sternum. It breaks instantly, along with several of his ribs. He falls lifelessly to the deck. It remains your turn.
Grint tries to keep his composure. He does not disparage those who fall before him. However, he did just fell a man, so his bonus action turns into another attack on the big boy behind him.
You feel a sense of combat momentum. Kill one man, strike another.
That's right.
15 misses. Eden.
Alright, Eden will. I guess block off the gangplank here. And attack whoever this unlucky dude is in between him and Grint. He will bite him. That was a nat 1, so that's an 8 total.
You see a little man in shiny armor. For the first time ever, you try to bite something with the jaw of a bear. You bite nothing, but it's an interesting feeling. It takes you a moment, even as you find yourself with arrows in your side, just to get used to the feeling of being you.
Alright, he follows it with a claw attack. That's a 17 to hit.
17 hits.
11 total.
What type of damage is that? Slashing, I think.
Slashing, that's right.
You gore him with your claw. Armor does little to stop 2-inch long claws. You brutalize the privateer heavy. It is still your turn.
Well, as a polar bear, he is incapable of anything on his bonus action, and he'll just sit there.
You can roar.
He roars.
It echoes across the water. You feel again like the pressure is getting impossibly low here. Electricity crackles. As an optional reaction, you can guess what creature of the sky is here. Deduce correctly and gain a bonus to hit and damage for the rest of this combat. This bonus increases with the precision of your guess. Deduce incorrectly and lose your action on your next turn. You cannot confer with each other. Type your answer in campaign chat should you wish to use your optional reaction. You have 30 seconds after the end of this sentence. Tierney, you close your eyes. You watch as 14 tons of mass descend on both ships. The mast of the privateer ship is instantly crushed. You hear 2 screams instantly snuffed by a foul crunch. Timber rolls over mangled bodies. The privateer ship supports one giant muscular leg, and the bow of Sparrow supports another. Ancient worn bronze scales cover the body of what can only be a dragon. 2 privateers instantly jump overboard into the icy black water. The dragon growls in common. Where are his scales? It opens its mouth and emits a deafening roar as electricity crackles through the air in a cone in front of its snout. Deadly wattage crackles through the air, searching for a circuit to complete. Everybody on deck is affected by this, with the exception of Lorne. You can either attempt to jump clear, making a dexterity save, which you realize has binary outcomes. You will either avoid the breath entirely, or you will fall short and be vulnerable to its direct wrath.
Question, what kind of attack is this breath?
It is a spell. It is electrical damage.
Okay.
It is a cone attack.
Grint will also be unaffected then.
I forgot to mention I definitely wore my rubber boots.
So you can either attempt to jump clear, making a dexterity save, or you can brace yourself and make a constitution save, which you expect will reduce the overall damage, but guarantee that you will take some. Going down the...
Roll the throws, yeah?
Correct. You tell me which you pick, dexterity or constitution, and we go down the initiative order. Lorne, you watch as this happens. You solely are spared where you are standing. Next, I have Tierney.
Roll 10 dexterity.
You hesitate. You absorb a sudden jolt of electrical energy. The muscles of your arms tense fully, threatening to break the bones of your forearms. Were your heart rhythm a song, it would be the sound of a human head being bludgeoned with a cast iron pan. Take 19 electrical.
I'm alive.
Alan Vaughn.
I'm gonna go with con save.
You steel yourself. You take a deep breath. The hair on all of your limbs stands up. You steel yourself. Your eyes are closed. You're being singed, but there are worse fates. Take 9 electrical. Grinch Cromwell.
Yes.
You complete a circuit of electricity. It goes right through you, the armor working like a lightning rod. Electrical energy simply bounces off of you. You feel nothing. You have no sense of danger. Eden Cather.
Well, he chose to try to do a constitution save, and he's rolling really low tonight because that was his 6.
You take a deep breath and close your eyes. But you can't keep them closed. Electrical current seizes your body from your eyelids to the arches of your paws. Your heart pauses for a long moment, 2 irregular beats, then nothing. You are burned at the cellular level. Your limbs make a mockery of your movement as they seize. Your heart somehow chooses to beat. Your olfactory system is overwhelmed with the smell of your flesh and fur burning. The dragon stares at you with 3-foot-high eyes as you are tortured with electricity. Take 17 electrical. The mast of the privateer's vessel is crushed. Both archers dive into the sea. The heavy between you, Eden, and Grint, his copper armor works like a perfect solenoid. Solenoid, not solenoid. What is it? A cathode? Dave, you got to help me. It works as a cathode for the electrical energy, seizing all of the power. It cuts through his flesh. He is electrocuted where he stands. The skirmisher next to you dives out of the way of the electrical breath, taking no damage. He dives directly underneath the jaws of the dragon. At the top of the order, I have Lorne Danavir.
Almost frozen by the sudden surprise of a bronze dragon landing in front of him. The only thing that he could do is hold fast to the last thing he was thinking of trying to do, sending Bellin out to Alan Vaughn.
Your little bat flaps against the storm. The rain is falling heavier now. Lightning crackles. Thunder rips through your ears. Alan Vaughn, you watch as a tiny black bat flies over to you.
Perches itself on your shoulder, if willing. Casts. I cast through it. Mage armor.
Alan will like rub the bat's little head with her finger.
You do so.
Quietly and in a sense of frozen terror, Lorne will not move and stick behind the mat.
You stand still, frozen in fear. Tierney Fang, you can smell your burnt flesh.
Okay. That's not good. I am going to cast invisibility on myself. Then I would like to move.
You become invisible.
I would like to take my dagger out.
You do so.
I can't quite make it all the way to the dragon. But next turn, I'm going to stick this thing.
Alan Vaughn, you watch as Tierney disappears. It becomes your turn.
Alan's gonna try to talk to the dragon. Dragon, what is it that you seek?
It opens its giant maw. You can see that it has untold rows of teeth. Some of these teeth are nearly as tall as Grint.
So small.
It speaks 2 words in common. It speaks your language. His scales. His body.
Grant, I think he's talking to you. I think you might want to hand this. I think you might want to hand it over.
You suggest that Grint Grommel is responsible, and you look over at him. Grint, you see 2 giant eyes looking your direction. It becomes your turn.
Brent walks in front of the dragon.
You do so.
Brent stands over the dragon. He looks the dragon in the eyes. He says, I'm Grant Grumble. Fear no man, no beast. He opens up his cloak. He shows the scales. He says, I have these scales. I didn't procure them, but I have them.
The dragon's pupils dilate. The effect is dramatic, standing face to face with it. It takes a deep breath. You watch as its nostrils quiver as it sees the scales, the armor. It pauses, quivering. Eden, it becomes your turn.
I think Eden, remaining in his wild shape, will just sort of come up a little bit closer here, between Grint and the skirmisher who jumped out of the way, and sort of just stretch his paws out and kind of look very sorrowful.
You appear penitent as you put your paws down in an effort to show some physical contrition to this creature. At the top of the order, Rowan, the bronze dragon, sizes you up, Grint. You realize this creature, its wingspan is easily larger than the ship that you came here on. Its maw is big enough to hold 20 Grint Grommels. It looks down at you with a sorrowful gaze. It appears regretful. It whispers to you, "Give them to me."
Grint says, "Great dragon, I know not your name. I boast no ego when I say that my purpose is great. And this armor has saved me over 12 times. I do not know what purpose would seek with this, but I would ask you to lend it to me just a bit longer."
You appeal to a greater good. Roll persuasion.
Five. It's not a roleplay for Grint.
Your voice feels hollow as you say these things. The dragon advances on you. It rears up, but does not attack yet. Lorne, it becomes your turn.
At this point, I don't think Lorne knows how to react to the situation. He would be pressed up to the best of his ability behind this mask, hoping to dear God that he just gives up the chess piece. Does not want to die here.
Tierney.
I would like to continue to advance. I'm going to nestle myself as far under. So the dragon's claw is on on the board of the ship, right?
Yes, it has one claw on either ship.
Could I reach the claw from my position?
You could attempt to run under its wing and interact with its massive taloned claw. Sizing it up, it looks like its claws are probably several inches thick each.
More the hand that holds the claw. I guess the claw holds the talon. I'm looking for the claw.
You see a massive claw.
Okay.
Easily as large as you.
Yes. I am intending on holding my action, and if the dragon makes an aggressive move, I would like to react by stabbing it with my dagger, intending to sneak attack this creature.
You hold your action. Wait.
I'll coil up and wait to pounce.
You coil yourself, waiting to pounce on this elegant, scaled creature. Alan Vaughn.
I got nothing. I'm just gonna go down here and kind of shut the door, but like peek out of it, but hide behind the door.
You take cover while still watching.
I also yelled at Grint. Grint, give it the armor.
You call out. Grint, it becomes your turn.
So it looks like this dragon did not take kindly to that, huh?
You get the impression that there's been a breakdown in communication.
Understandable. Grint calls out. He says, "Oh, great Tempest, forgive me. Transgression of diplomacy. Hours late. My need is great." And he tries to cast divine armor on himself.
You,
Divine shield.
Divine Shield, the cantrip that gives you 2 AC.
Correct, yes.
You attempt to cast Divine Shield. You call to Tempest in your darkest hour. Nothing happens.
Strength through adversity it is then. Grint attacks.
You do so. Go ahead. Roll to attack.
Okay. Describe the dragon's posturing on the boat in relation to Grint.
It has a claw on the deck of either ship. It is reared up right now as if it was getting ready to breathe again. Its neck and breastbone are currently exposed. It is
Go through that for that neck then. He's heard stories. He's never even seen a dragon. He's heard stories. So here we go. We're gonna make this a precision attack. Never mind that precision attack. It's 25.
25 hits. You have just cut down many men. You cut through them like they were made of nothing. Your sword hits a dragon scale. Expecting it to cleave through it, you instead feel a sense that your attack is at best blunted. Your sword finds the neck of the dragon. Unlike a man, this dragon is heavily armored, and its scales almost entirely mitigate your attack.
Fair enough. Grint keeps going. I'm gonna throw a D8 on that. 15.
15 misses.
Alright, one more attack. The hasty up. 17.
17 misses.
Damn. Alright. Last one, bonus action attack with War Priest.
12 misses. You swing again and again, finding impregnable scales.
I have a reaction.
You do.
I would like to attack the sneaky way with my dagger.
Go ahead.
$22.
22 hits.
$14 damage.
You stab your dagger into what seems to be a particularly vulnerable part of this dragon, where you watch as its circulatory system pumps blood into its wing. You stab directly into the sensitive spot there and find that your dagger makes little of an impact. Its skin is incredibly thick. Eden Cather, it becomes your turn. You watch as Grint and Tierney attack this creature.
So I actually think he was curiously looking towards all that stands to see what the captain was doing up in the crow's nest.
All that stands, died on the third day of the spell plague when the mast of his ship was smashed into the deck of his ship. He died instantly and painlessly. Don't worry.
Alright, Eden feels there is zero chance that they're going to win this battle that Grint is currently picking. So he comes out of wild shape. Because his instinct still isn't to grapple Grint, I guess.
You are once again a human man. You find you have legs, hands, a face, and questionable allies.
Okay. This was not strategically the best decision, but he surges forward, very earnest, towards the great dragon and says, "Great dragon, a goddess of our realm has just died, and my companions and I are stopping at nothing to try and reach her as quickly as we can."
You make eye contact with this creature. You feel like it is even listening to you. You watch as the holes which govern its auditory system move slightly. It would be fascinating. Except you watch as it seizes up in pain as both Tierney and Grint stab into it. You suddenly smell the coppery smell of blood. You realize Grint must have found purchase. It remains your turn.
As you can see, we are desperate and blinded by grief.
You have a sense that your desperation is well understood. The dragon beats its wings. Pressure drops. It is preparing to take off. It does so.
Okay.
It does so, taking to the air. It looks down at both ships and breathes pure electricity again. This time, the electrical impulse seems centered on the ships themselves. You can take the same actions as before. Going down the initiative order, you can take a reflex save or a constitution save as the deck of Sparrow is engulfed by pure current.
Am I able to take a reaction and close the door as I see the dragon fly into the air?
You are in an excellent spot to be entirely covered from this breath. You can quickly close the door. From outside, you can hear the horrifying sound of thousands of watts of current singeing and ripping through armor, flesh, wood, sails, anything. At the top of the order, Lorne de Navir, you are affected by this one. You are on deck. Dexterity or constitution, do you attempt to dive out of the way or do you steel yourself and take it?
Lorne would definitely try to jump out of the way.
Roll your reflex save. With a 10, you fail. With a 10, you cannot jump fast enough, Lorne. You jump and do your best. Lorne, every action you have taken in your life, every pat of butter, every low squat, every drink of ale, every stretch in the morning, it finally achieves something. You can't quite do it. Your brain fires, your legs respond, and you do not jump out of the way of the electrical breath of an ancient bronze dragon. Take 21 electrical. Tyranny Fang. There is dragon's blood on your dagger. You feel a sense of accomplishment for a brief moment before you feel a fresh sense of terror.
I will try and dive down the stairs. If this one hits me, I'm a goner.
You attempt.
16.
You dive successfully out of the way. You jump down the stairs. You watch as just above you, untold power in the form of electricity warps and rips the deck of the ship. Boards singe, you can smell burning wood. Alan Vaughn, you are well protected. You watch as outside, just through the cracked door, you can see from safety as incredible amounts of power whip across the deck. Grint Grommel, there is dragon's blood on your sword. You have done something few dwarves have done. But what will you do now? Constitution or dexterity?
Grant is immune to lightning.
Grint, you stand and absorb. Power flows through you. You work as a lightning rod on the deck.
Is there... It's gonna sound weird. Like, is there a way Grant could try to direct the lightning somewhere else? Maybe, like, point his sword somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, just direct it. What do you think?
Where?
Towards the other ship.
Roll a performance check.
All right. Two on die.
You extend your sword in an effort to direct electricity somewhere. You see that the deck of the privateer ship has already started caving in on itself. You watch as the hole where the mast once was is letting cold black salt water stream into their ship. Eden Cather, you watch from up above as pure electrical energy descends towards you.
He'll roll Constitution and got a 5.
You catch pure electrical energy. You stand and steel yourself, absorbing much of the blow. Take 12 electrical. And on that, to modify a few things, let's take our $5. Let's do it over here. Much easier. Okay. Okay, I think we have everything set up. Perfect. Okay, I think I'm gonna go get a coffee. Let's see.
Oh, this is going well.
It's not.
So it turns out I have to play a bit of these hella support role when we're on the boat. My only plan at that point was to start launching the ballast at it.
Just imagine raising dead an ancient bronze dragon.
A big paw. I gotta live to that point.
It's gotta be what, like challenge rating 24? We just gotta chew through like 200 more hit points.
It'll be fine. Give me a solid minute. I'll animate 2 dudes. Mad bows on them.
That's true. This is a pretty threatening image here.
Yeah, let's just hope that's a casual cut to cinematic.
All
Not an
credits.
end slip.
Boy, did I not want to stab this dragon.
Neither did I. Neither did Lauren. I was prepared for a lot of things. Combat on boat is not one of them. Combat against a dragon is certainly not.
I mean, I knew we would get some big negative for taking that bronze dragon scale. Didn't know it would be this big.
I was not anticipating this in the slightest.
With great power comes great
Dragon.
problems. Such as a concurrent through line within these games. Don't worry, it's just his best friend, the hill giant. He's just chilling out on whatever island we're going to be landing on next. Don't worry about it.
Hey, at least I could wrestle a hill giant.
Or it's the bones of my children.
I was gonna guess storm dragon.
I thought it might be like Quetzalcoatl because it was like changing the weather around.
When the weather changed, I was gonna have Tierney look to the sky. But then I got caught up in the intimidating the young crewman so I could stab him.
I think watching
There
was
Yeah.
so good. I don't think Lauren would have looked up at that point. He was probably too enthralled with what he had run.
Yeah, it's
He's good.
overcast anyway, so I don't know that it would be that much.
I would have looked up out of paranoia, but since I was engaged in combat, I don't think Tierney would have done that. If nobody was around Tierney, he would have. But I did think about it.
There's a little peek into the curtain. Mike had saved me the effort of naming the bat. He proposed melon, and I like
Dude, I love
so
melon.
its name is melon.
Is it always melon? I don't know how familiars are flavored.
Yeah, they take like an hour to summon. They're generally just like there until you summon another one. I think you can ask for the same summon again. The way I've always looked at them, I don't know how you use them. They're completely artificial life. Like they don't have technical sentience.
Okay, so this is not. Actually, that makes sense.
Yeah, like a wizard can't create life.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like an arcane sentry kind of thing. You can't eat them, that kind of thing. As amusing as that would be.
A wizard is never late.
And this one is.
You better give me that armor.
Chris not here. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Let me mess with one thing. I think my volume levels are a little bit off. Could someone say something?
Hello.
Me.
Hello.
Okay, I think that should be good. Everyone here? Everyone back? Everyone good? Cool.
I'm here.
You watch as the privateer's ship is smashed and destroyed. Sparrow, seemingly uninterrupted, unerringly searches for Elmwood on the prime material plane. You realize that the sails are tattered and gone. The lower deck is taking on water. There is a constant stream of irregular flotsam in your wake. Look, there goes a bed. Look, there go boards from the lower hull. You can smell smoldering linen and pitch as the tattered sails catch no wind, yet the ship glides silently through the water. Up above you, you watch as the beautiful bronze dragon flies upward and away. You can smell burning pitch. Looking down below, you can see through the cargo elevator easily that there is water sloshing around the bottom deck.
Across the table, are we out of initiative?
We are out of initiative.
Eden.
You get no response.
All right. I'm going to rush below deck.
You do so.
I am going to go to the lower deck and survey the damage.
You see an advanced degree of damage. There is a massive hole in the side of the ship. Water is pouring in.
Okay. I'm going to come back upstairs. This boat's sinking.
The ship lurches.
We have maybe 20 minutes.
How close do we need to land?
I'm going to look out and see if I can see the land at all.
Roll perception.
'23.
You see storm clouds. You look upward. You see a sudden crash of lightning. The recent events make your blood chill as you sense what that lightning must feel like. You see no land, Mr. Fang. You can only assume, perhaps, that Sembia is to the ports of Sparrow, looking out over the gray nothingness in the night. You have no sense of place.
Shaking off the shock of the situation. Slightly intent. Do you think we can repair it?
I can't repair it. I was looking for somebody to shape water. Where is Eden? Alan. I'll call out for Alan.
Alan's at the top of the stairs over here, peering kind of out the door.
I'll bellow, Alan!
Where are you at?
I'm
Oh,
on
you're
the top.
upstairs?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, what? You'll see the door just creak open. And she'll kind of peer out and, like, look around. Nervous.
We need that druid. Where is he? Find him. Get him up.
What? Eden? I would see Eden at this point, right? Can I see him through the wreckage?
Maybe. Roll perception. You see a mangled looking body lying on the deck. It is
No.
It is smoking slightly.
Alan will run to Eden and, like, cradle him in her arms.
Eden, make a death saving throw.
What do I roll with that again?
A d20 with no modifiers.
Okay.
You need to roll an 11 or higher.
That's a natural one.
You sense a bit closer to death.
Don't just hug him.
Alan will be, like, sobbing
You do so.
And
You
like-
sob.
and, like, lightly, like, shaking, like, gently shaking Eden to try and get him up. Can I try and stabilize him?
You can. You can roll a medicine check. Be warned. You can make his delicate medical situation worse by intervening.
Can I choose not to then?
You can choose not to intervene. You can't choose not to make it worse. You sense that interacting with Eden's delicate medical state would likely be final either way.
I need Grint. You get Eden up.
I can't.
Figure it out. Grint,
Hey,
we need a sail.
Tierney.
We are all going to die.
Well, Eden is dying.
And we're next. Deal with it.
Lorne, you good at this?
Not with the living. Lauren has approached this situation and is looking down. Lauren is out of bounds, not used to seeing a corpse electrocuted or a body. So in.
You wonder if it is a corpse, but you can still see Eden's pulse through his neck.
Alan will very gently lay him down, and then she will storm after Tierney and push him as hard as she can.
Roll to hit.
What am I adding?
Add your proficiency bonus.
21.
Tierney,
Shove me up to the deck.
yeah, you are pushed onto your side. Suddenly, you have a furious Alan. Alan, please move yourself up to Tierney. You are met with a furious Alan face to face with you.
We don't have time for this.
Well, Eden is dying. I can't save him because I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. I'm not a cleric.
I know how to stop the boat from sinking. Do you know how to do that?
Well, it sounds like Eden is what we need to do that, so maybe you should
I
focus
could
on
have
helping me
used
save
him, yes, but I don't have time for this argument. This conversation is over. I'm going to get up.
Corinth is going to try Cure Wounds on Eden.
You try to cast Cure Wounds. Nothing happens.
Tell me the state of the sails.
The sails are at best in tatters. You look up and you see that the main mast of Sarah, where the crow's nest was, is lying at a 90-degree angle. The infrastructure to hold that mast up is in tatters. Looking at the front sail, you see that it is on a ominous-looking 60-degree angle. The mast is barely held aloft by the friction of the boards of the deck. There is little to nothing allowing the sail to provide any force to the ship, and yet you watch as the bow continues moving through the water.
I am not interested in the condition of the masts. I am interested in the condition of the sail, the cloth material.
The cloth material is tattered. You see bits of linen still smoldering from the electrical attack.
Okay. Is there any solid piece of cloth?
How big do you need?
About the size of the hole that I saw.
You sense that there is no cloth that would be intact enough or strong enough to withstand the fury of the sea.
I don't need it to be permanent. I just need it to slow.
You can rip some cloth off.
I have an understanding that a typical thing to do when the ship is taking on water is to intentionally list a mast bearing a sail into the water at the prow of the ship and use the pressure of the ship sailing to push the sail against the hole in the hull. Tierney's trying to determine how viable this might be. The mast is already down. That's helpful. If the sail is not perfect, it's better than nothing.
You furrow your brow, looking around and attempting to calculate quickly to see, will this be viable? You surmise the following things, Mr. Tierney Fang. You think that shoving the sail into the water could help you maintain a flat angle in the water. You think that pushing the mast over may help you in stabilizing the overall angle of the ship. You sense, however, that using the mast as a way to keep the bow high, maybe get water to flow out of the back, you sense that there is not enough structure left on the other side of the mast. So like what holds the mast of the ship, it is ripped out. There is a barren hole. You sense that any significant amount of force pushed up against the mast would likely cause further structural damage to the ship. However, your overall plan to potentially shove it into the water and keep the ship from listing to starboard seems perfectly viable given your quick understanding of the physics here.
Okay. I need to handle a very big mast.
I have a separate question. In Eden's disarray, how accessible is their pack at this point?
Eden, is your pack typically on your back?
And then, trying to decide if he left it in. Yeah, it's typically like slung around his waist.
You feel around Eden Cathair's body and find the pack containing his possessions around his waist.
I'm looking for one thing in particular. Do you still have the healing potion?
Yes.
With Eden.
Roll investigation. Against Eden, how organized are you? What is your int modifier?
I was going to ask if Grint can assist them.
Grint can assist him. Grint, you can assist in rifling through his thing. So you will accept Grint's aid for this roll.
It's extra 1d4. Is that how that works?
Correct, yes.
Eden's int modifier is 0.
That's a 9 total.
You feel around. You find a number of Eden's things. No healing potion. The ship is moving in the waves. Eden's body is limp.
Well, Grint's going to try and stabilize him then.
Using medicine?
Yes, I'm going to say, Lord, come here, do what I say.
We'll follow suit. I'll bring the pack to the side.
Roll a medicine check. Roy,
My aid.
Yeah, Grint's going to say, boy, I need you to live through this so I can hold it above your head. It's not. Have I rolled over 5 tonight? I don't know.
Say it out loud.
well,
I roll a 3.
Eden, add a second counter to your death saving throws. You're at 2 out of 3.
18.
No, add a so his failed medicine check. You now have 2. You have 2 negative counters. You're at 0 positive, 2 negative.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna try and figure out the sail situation. Figure out if the mast is movable, and if I can get the sail into the water at all.
It seems like it's probably movable.
Can I do it by myself?
Definitely not. Way too heavy.
I would need how many people? 2 or 3?
Probably 2 or 3. Two strong ones, 3 that aren't. You feel rather strong with the skull in your head.
But it's not enough.
Not by yourself. You need someone to assist you with the leverage. Alan, you find Lorne and Grint trying desperately to stabilize Eden. You sense that they are not succeeding.
Would I have seen them going through his bag?
You would have.
You guys are already trying to go through his things?
The potion.
What potion?
The one I gave him. I may be no doctor, but my parents were.
Let me try and see if I can find it. I'll investigate to see if I can find it.
Roll investigation at advantage. You and Eden are close. Eden, you have a drought of healing in your inventory. Is that correct?
Yep.
You find something, Alan. You find a bottle, relatively unadorned, with a thin-looking ruby-colored liquid inside. It has no labels and no adornment to identify it.
Lauren, is this it?
I feel like you would recognize it instantly, correct?
It's yours.
So I would assume we can try and pour this in his mouth and see if he takes.
Hurry.
I will ask. Well, I'm not. Lauren, can you hold his head, please?
We'll do so. Lifting it upward. Can I make a medicine check to know that that's a good idea?
Sure.
I crit. 23 total.
You think it's probably a good idea. You are able to help administer this potion.
And I will pour it into his mouth and then close his mouth, hoping that he'll drink.
Inkather. You find your mind's eye somewhere in a cave deep below the earth. For a moment, you feel like you have wings. Roll the healing on this drought of healing. Eden.
Just looking it up. I think it's.
It is 3d8 flat.
So that's 16 total.
You heal for 16 hit points. You are brought back from the brink. You are out of healing potions. You gasp in salt air. Your lungs feel burned.
I think there's sort of like an aborted scream at the back of his throat as he comes to, and then he's very slowly, but looking around and is like, what's going? Where's the dragon?
You're not dead yet, but give it a moment. We'll see what happens. And Brent runs to help Tyranny.
Alan will give you a very sincere hug. And you can feel that she was crying. And you will see streaks.
Grant,
Hey,
we need to put this over the front of the ship. On the right side, the sail should catch the hole.
sounds good.
Should give us some time from the ship listing and tipping over.
Did you drink the bottle?
I didn't. We're still on course for Elmwood.
I mean, you might want to make an emergency stop on the fucking beach, eh?
Yes, but let's deal with this first.
Fine.
We need to put this in the water, and is Eden up? Did you save him?
He's fine.
We need him to shape water to get some of the water out of the hole. We have a lot of ballast down there.
He's in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, we're all going to be in pretty rough shape soon. I'm going to go down and explain, check on Eden and Alan and Lauren.
You see that Eden is certainly conscious. You watch as Alan gives him a hug. Everywhere where Alan held him close, he bleeds. His skin seems particularly thin and burnt.
Eden.
Eden, you see a man with a skull leering down towards you. You feel a chill.
Yeah, Eden's voice sounds like it's coming from very far away, but he does say Tierney.
Do you think you could still shape water for us?
I could try.
The ship's taking on water.
What happened to the dragon?
I don't know. But we're gonna sink in the next 10 minutes if we don't stop this.
Okay.
I have a plan to plug the hole, at least for the short term.
It's down in the hold.
It's in the hold. I need you to get as much water out as possible before me and Grint push the sail over the edge.
Okay.
We'll wait for you.
Don't. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Alan, Lorne, help him. One of you, act as an intermediate. Let us know when to go. I will message into your head, Alan. Can you handle this, the three of you?
Of course.
Agreed.
Make haste.
From this absolute shambles of a boat, my bat is alive or dead from thunderstorm.
Your bat is alive. It flies with tiny wings around the top deck.
What semblance of relief that gives Lauren, it will fly over the shoulder of Puny Fang. It should give word to you.
Lauren, I'll have your ear too. We may need one of you to help us with the mast. It's very heavy.
I'll handle Eden.
Go.
Eden, I will, Alan will, like, motion to you to put your arm around her shoulders to try and help you to stay up.
I think it like hurts too much to touch someone else, so he sort of like says, "It's okay, I can walk, I promise. It's fine." And
She'll
he'll
stay close.
Yeah, they'll make their way down to the bottom of the ship.
You do so, and you find something. There is ankle-deep, ice-cold salt water here. You watch as various sundries from the bottom of the ship are swept out gradually from a massive hole in the starboard side. You quickly realize that this hole is beyond something that could be easily fixed. The water is cold, salty on your skin. Stepping toward the galley, you see that there is stomach-deep water in here. The ship is listed at a precarious angle. You see the rocks of ballast falling from the piles that they were arranged in. The water is murky down here in the hold.
Grint, this hole's on the starboard side.
Okay.
It's on the right side of the ship. We need to place this thing in the front quarter of the ship, on the right. I'm going to try and lift the mast, or what remains, with Grint.
Both of you together can add your strength bonuses. In order to execute on this, your total bonuses together will have to be 34.
Oh, we're a little far away, aren't we?
I got a 16.
Tierney looking for an 18 or better.
16.
You both hoist as hard as you can this massive piece of oak that was felled from the Corman Thor hundreds of years ago. You can just barely get it to roll a little bit. Both of you together get it to move maybe an inch, but you certainly can't get it in the water.
Can Grant use his pry bar to help roll it? If indeed our intent is to roll it, can he lever it over?
I'm going to yell at Grint when he pulls it out. No, this is a precision maneuver. If we get this wrong, we don't get another try.
At 8.
I'm going to
Hands on
call
deck.
I'm going to call out for Lorne.
Lorne is searching the deck of the ship. He knows all too well he is too frail to move this thing, but there might still be bodies on board. The two people that Grint failed, are they still on board?
There is one body left. The priest of Umberley is nowhere to be found, but you find a Symbian Marine who has taken a number of stab wounds that resemble the damage done by Grint Gromwell's sword.
But Adam, that he will cast Animate Dead, which I've now learned takes a whole minute on this thing.
You foully reanimate a recently killed Symbian privateer. It takes you a little bit of time to gather your powers, but you do so whispering to the corpse.
As an aesthetic effect, now that people are seeing Lorne actually do this in person, he hoists the lantern up high, a green flame flickers within it, and he strikes an invisible match between the lantern and the corpse.
How many bargains are we gonna make, Grunt?
I feel like it's a bad time for this discussion.
I've already accepted.
How else do you keep a ship afloat?
Down below, in the hold, you both see water pouring in.
I think Eden starts to wade into the water, and then, remembering what it felt like to once upon a time be able to shape water, he tries to call on that power again.
You do so. You attempt to call on that power. Nothing happens. You watch as the water sloshes around the deck.
I will message to Alan Vaughn. I need status. We're about to push this thing.
Eden can't shape the water.
And get the hell out of there.
Alan will usher for Eden for us to go back up to the top deck. And before she climbs the stairs, she's gonna kind of ponder the fact that we had a giant chest of gold lying around. And she's gonna go over to see, because I remember we put it with the other locked chest. She's gonna go over to see if it's been swept away already, or if we have it still on ship.
You find it. It's under about a foot of water. The water is muddy, but you can feel around and you find your chest.
I cannot hear you, but I see your mouth moving.
Oh shoot, I forgot to hold down my thing. She'll try to, if able to, she'll try and pull it over towards the ladder.
You do so. It's heavy and waterlogged, but you can bend down and find your strength. You drag this chest through the water. Underneath you, you occasionally feel where pieces of the hull are outright missing. You feel extremely cold ocean water currents going right past your ankles as you drag this chest of gold.
Got it. She'll fill her pockets with gold just so that we have something in case we end up needing it wherever we land.
You open the chest and grab handfuls of gold. The coins are muddy, covered in silt. You grab handfuls of them and shove them into your pockets.
I don't think Eden's gonna be able to carry something like this right now. I'm not even gonna bother Eden with it.
From behind you,
I'll just
Eden,
take as much as I can for now, and if we can come back down to it, then we will.
Eden, you hear the telltale sound of gold coins clinking on one another. You sense that Alan is collecting gold from the chest.
Turns and, for a moment, looking a little bit confused, he's like, we're not going to need that where we're going.
We don't know where we're gonna land at this point, and I don't want to be in a predicament where we don't have anything. It's just precautionary, not greedy. Was that intentional?
But,
Somebody exhaled into the mic.
Yeah, you
oh,
exhaled
sorry,
pretty
yes.
hard.
I was like, sorry, I didn't realize the mic was gonna pick that up.
It was a good moment.
I mean, I think that would have been a very Eden response, so yes, he just sort of dies.
You exhale. On deck, you feel salt air. It's getting cold.
Okay. Is this corpse, like, what do I say? Paint a scene for me so I don't stab this thing.
You see a reanimated Sembian Marine stand to his feet. This is a privateer. He once had a fiancée. He had a kid that he didn't know about. He is now here, standing on the deck. Grin Cromwell delivered a fatal wound by cutting through his right arm. It hangs limply, held only on by his armor. You see the fatal wound that felled him. Grin's sword cut several inches into his ribcage, something that no cleric can really fix. He stands there with a blank expression on his face, staring at Lorne.
think I'm able to make the connection. Lorne, you and your thing, can you help us move this?
Such was my intent, yeah.
And heave with us. It's going to the starboard bow. That's the front right of the ship. It needs to land. It needs to catch the hole so the ship doesn't tip over and become our casket.
I trust your instinct in the matters of this. He will
Is he-
maneuver the corpse over to the side to help them to push him.
You do
I'm
so.
going to go to the back of the line so I can guide this thing the best I can. So I have the most access, like a rudder. I'm going to angle it in what I think is best.
The reanimated Marine has one useless arm, and his nervous system has been significantly impacted by being recently killed. It can add only a bit of its strength. You'll roll d6 to add the strength of the reanimated privateer. Ready to heave again?
I am.
Okay,
I'm going to bellow out a countdown.
let's hear it.
3, 2, 1. Heave!
Grint, d20 strength.
17.
Tyranny, d20 strength.
16.
So that puts you at 33. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Wait, and the zombie got a 1, so that's the 34 we need, right?
There you go.
Please help.
You all succeed in, you can just barely, using the awful power of necromancy, you heave, and the broken mast falls into the water with a splash. The ship starts to list slightly back toward a neutral position. You realize the ship is still moving at a good clip, even though there are no sails.
What if we rolled some of the ballast? Would that help?
I'm going to rip the mask off my face and look for the dragon.
You look skyward. You see just a bit of thunderstorm. Roll perception.
28.
You feel like you could see anything out there. Looking directly upward, you don't see anything.
He's gone.
Well, if he wasn't, we were dead.
He'll be back.
Maybe.
I'm going to go downstairs.
You do so. It smells like burning pitch down here.
Before I go down, 1 second. We need to go onto the second deck and make sure we have as many dry linens as we can. The ship is going to be taking on water all sorts of ways, and we're going to be on here. If it's going to be cold, we can't be catching hypothermia. Grint, Lauren, do you think you can handle this?
Hey,
I'm going to go into the hold. We might need to move some ballast out of here. That's the next step. Sorry, go ahead. I smell pitch.
You do. As you go into the second deck, you realize that the ship is still smoldering a bit. There are no fires broken out, but you have a sense of how weak the hull must be.
I'm
okay, so
going to...
he's- Go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go, you go.
I was going to say, this is going to sound kind of weird, but Grint begins looting the zombie as it's standing there. He just walks up, starts checking his pockets and stuff. See if there's anything useful on him.
His weapon must have been on his arm that is currently missing. However, you see that he still has a relatively usable suit of plate mail.
Did he have like a pack of any or anything?
You wonder if he may have at some point. Now he has no need for possessions. In the detritus strewn across the deck, you think there could have been a pack in here somewhere.
Honest to God, that's kind of what Grint would be looking for, is he would check to see if any of the guys that died on the deck had left anything behind at all.
You look for something of value and find little but bloodstains and chunks of wood. You have a sense of loss. You wonder if there was stuff on the privateer ship.
Grint just kind of like shakes his head. He's fucking useless at death. just kind of walks down and begins gathering the linens as instructed.
Lauren will leave the corpse to the top deck for now. And follow suit with Grin.
I feel like Alan and Eden might catch them on their way up.
I am rushing downstairs. I assume I'm going to meet you in transit.
Most likely it would make sense, yeah.
I believe Alan and Eden were going up the stairs. So yes, I think there is a meeting at the bow of the ship here as everybody essentially collides. You run into each other as you are navigating the second hull of the ship.
I'm sure you felt that. We put the masts over the bow.
Yeah, seem a little less shaky now.
Need to check my handiwork.
I'll go with you.
Somebody tend to Eden. I'll look around me. Is anybody else down here?
I think Eden would have been going up, but he seems to be fine on his own.
Eden, is that true?
He's shaky, but doesn't want to be touched, so.
He's basically in no state to speak for himself, so he's just sort of following Alan around like a puppy, kind of.
Aww.
I will maneuver past and go downstairs.
You do so.
Seeing the way that Eden's reacting, I think that I would go help him to find a place to lie down for now. I think that it looks like the second, maybe like Tierney and I's bedroom from the beginning. I think that is suitable for him to lay down right now. Or at least one of the rooms.
It feels a little bit less like home, if it ever did. There are enough breaches to the hull that wind cuts through the second deck. You could certainly sit or lie here, but it'll be extraordinarily difficult ever feeling comfortable ever again.
I don't think it's about comfort. I think it's more about stabilizing.
You could find a horizontal surface.
It's up to Eden.
So as Alan goes as if to lead him up the stairs, he turns and looks towards Tierney, obviously rushing past to do something else, and just says, "What's next?"
I don't know. I need to check the wound in the ship, and maybe we need to run ashore. I don't see the dragon outside. We need to prepare for the next attack, though.
We do have options.
What options do we have?
The ship still stand. It has two functions. One by sea, one by plane.
You think this ship is capable of interplanar travel?
Yes. Such is the purpose of these things. The question is whether or not it's instantaneous, or does it need to make travel?
If we're gonna interplanar travel, we could. Reginald actually, he fixes things. I mean, he's a
I'm
tinker.
walking downstairs.
With this, Alan is excited, and she's following Tierney, and just rambling off stuff and reasons why we should go and visit Reginald on the elemental plane of Earth.
I'm hoping my many hours of meditation have paid off in this moment. I'm able to focus myself uniquely on the problem at hand, instead of made-up problems that we have not encountered yet.
She is consistent. I mean, persistent.
Tierney, it is difficult to focus with Alan chattering in your ear.
Listen, we've only got one use left, okay? If that goes tits up, what are we gonna have left?
We barely have a ship. I'll tell you that much. Look around you, Grint. Do you think we can make it downward?
We might. How fast are we going? Tierney?
Very.
So,
Based on our time between Selgaunt and Dawngleam, that took about 18 hours. I would estimate this trip to take under 3 days, maybe 2.5.
Okay.
Maybe
Are
less.
are we still moving at that same speed?
Yes, we're moving quite fast.
Okay, then I don't think the dragon is gonna catch us because it couldn't catch us before. And the only fucking reason it did catch us is because those pirates ran into us, right?
I need to check out this wound in the ship. Make sure we don't sink in the next 10 minutes.
Alan contemplates if the Sparrow would allow itself to sink.
Everything can sink, Alan.
I said she contemplates. I didn't say she said it out loud.
Oh, fair enough. My mistake. Okay, I would like to actually get a status report on this wound in the ship. I'm very anxious.
You see a large, irregular gash down here on the lowest deck. It seems to have reached a bit of an equilibrium point. You are now waist deep in water.
The ship is taking on more water, yes?
It's extraordinarily hard for you to tell. Water sloshes around every time the ship moves, and the ship is moving quite quickly. As you walk around on the lowest deck, you find that there are several pieces where there is simply nothing to stand on, and if you walked incorrectly, you would find nothing between you and a sea of stars.
We need to lighten the load.
You can feel the current down here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to feel the current down here.
You can feel it ripping past your ankles. The ship is moving at incredible speed.
I'm going to go up.
As you go up, a single stair collapses underfoot. There are no ill effects, unless you're the stair.
We need to get everything that has any weight off the side of the ship. Beds, barrels.
And
Do we really
balance.
have to go that far?
If we think we want to make it to Elmwood, which I think is one of our best bets right now, yes.
So
Well, we
maybe
should
we should
start
get
with
rid
the
of the ballast.
I can't go down there and lift that ballast up in those creaking stairs. If you go down there and you slip, you might find yourself outside of the ship.
Well, the mast didn't fill the entire hole. There may be some way we can shove it out through the hole.
Not without ripping the sail, and I think we'll find the deleterious effects of that too great to understand. The only way the ballast is coming out is if we lift it up the stairs, and I don't think that's happening. You can try. Grant, I would suggest taking off your armor first, but I am not going back down there.
The only way that I can move those rocks is be quite aggressive.
Well, let's start with the debris on the top deck then.
Yes, Lauren, what did you say? You presented me with a grotesque alternative, I assume?
I could move some of the rocks, yeah. It would not fare well for the ship. Let us go to the top deck.
Yes, let's talk. What are my options?
Lorne will hold his hand up before everyone makes their way up.
The sun,
standing man is mine.
the sun rises in the east. Go ahead.
He says the standing man is mine. Fret not. He has a corpse upstairs.
Oh, I understood, but I'm walking upstairs.
Two of our party were unawares of.
Lauren, you have options for me?
And being the geomancer, yes, I could move a lot of rock. But again, it would be quite aggressive. I could not. It's not a delicate procedure, is what I'm saying.
So why don't we get the other half of the mast off of here? Or the other 2/3.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Everybody work together?
The
With
hole in the
exception of
second
Ethan.
deck. Lauren, do you think you could lift a rock through that hole?
I could lift many rocks all at once, one try. I'm a bit tapped, all things considered.
Understood. If we punch another hole in the hole, it won't matter if we have ballast or not.
So to the point. Let's try to get this thing clear.
Yeah, let's clear the mast first.
You can take some time, and if you all work together, which it sounds like you are, you can shove very heavy things off of the side of the ship. Please be very descriptive in telling me exactly what you shove, how, and where. And if you'd like to contemplate any of this before you do it, you can, one time throughout this, make a int check to try to judge the feasibility of your actions.
Well, I think if we're all working together, we would lift it, this piece and the smaller piece, starting with the bigger piece because we're gonna need our energy, and they're all gonna be heavy. So I say start with the heaviest piece first, and we will lift and push off.
Hold on. Tierney's concerned that if we roll a cylindrical object off the side of the ship, it'll get caught in the wake and punch another hole in the hull. Especially at the speeds we're going.
So we should roll it to the back of the boat and throw it off
Or
the back?
spear it, but I don't think we have a lot of control over this. What do I think is the best way to get this large oaken mast off the ship?
Roll int if you'd like.
I like. 21?
You sense that your concerns about dropping very heavy things off of the side of the ship are probably well placed. You feel a strong sense of the precariousness of this overall situation. You feel like one wrong move could doom any denizens of the ship. You think that rolling the pieces of the mast off the side would likely be rather dangerous. You think that any moves you make should probably be subtle.
I don't know if we can roll the mast off the ship. I think it's going to catch in the wake. I think we're going 30 to 40 knots here, and there is no easy way to do this. I think we should work with things that are more our size. Beds, barrels, plates, tables, chairs. I'll sleep on the deck. I just don't want to sleep under the water.
I'm in agreement here.
I think what we should do is maybe help the ship out a little bit and reduce the drag. Can we get the sails out of the way so they're not a sort of wind sail?
They're all laying on the deck at this point, aren't they? Or are they still up?
There are no sails up to catch the wind now.
It's just, you mean just like take the sails off the mast then?
Yeah. The smaller pieces might be easier to handle. I'll go downstairs and start ripping up the linens. We should save dry linens if we can.
I'll go with Tierney and start. Well, I sounds like all together we need to work to get furniture off the ship.
Yep. The last thing I want to mention, and this one's probably the scariest. This ship was carrying tons of pitch. Some of it could be on fire and we don't know yet. When you handle barrels, take the utmost care. Make sure it's not already heated up. This stuff takes a long time to burn. It starts at a low temperature and gains momentum. If any of that catches fire to the ship, it would be deadly. We need to check every single barrel that we think has pitch.
Lauren has gone through pretty much every barrel. He spent a long period of time doing that a couple sessions ago. Under his impression, was there enough pitch there to light the thing on fire if you were, say, waist deep on the bottom deck in water?
Pitch burns bright and hot, so even a small amount could be very destructive. You did not find any barrels full of pitch on the bottom, but you know that what Tierney's saying is correct. There are supplies to caulk the ship in various places, and there are certainly stores of pitch which would be incendiary would they be able to be ignited. In terms of how you framed it with the waist-deep salt water on the bottom deck, a pitch fire can be extremely difficult to extinguish, as all petroleum fires are. But you have a feeling that any pitch barrel, which is where most of them are on the bottom deck right now, is currently underwater, and it would be harmless if they're even still there. But it would
Pitch is definitely not immediately drawn to that in terms of a sense of agency. So instead, he will continue on trying to clear off the general debris from the top of the deck.
Go ahead and, if you plan on taking part in any of these activities, go ahead and move to where you are. Let's do it room by room, area by area. You find several things on deck that interest you, Orn. You find the blood of a bronze dragon. You find little bits of kelp. Looking over the bow of the ship, you see that during the battle, perhaps, the bow must have been entirely underwater, as there are huge ribbons of kelp stuck to it here.
Where is Eden?
The top deck still.
Okay.
With grins. On the second deck, I have Alindra and Tierney.
Prince is going to approach Tyranny. He's going to go down and approach him. Look, we need to change course.
Do we? Do we want a dragon to catch us?
Well, we need to get to a harbor sooner rather than later.
I agree. We should look at that map again.
Last 3 days, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Let's work what we can right now. We'll look at the map together.
Go ahead and roll intelligence in order to determine, are you able to place your bearings and where you might be right now. A map does very little if you're unable to determine where you are.
15.
Grit.
Yeah, 20.
Grint Cromwell. You have a good sense that Sparrow is probably currently northeast of Sembia. You judge this by looking east for the sunrise. You think you can judge where you are relative to the massive mountain ranges across the Sea of Fallen Stars to the east. Judging based on this, you think you're probably already halfway at least through the reach. Tierney Fang. You have a sense, with Elmwood as your destination, that you're getting relatively close. Something about it is just in the air. You study the map together. Those are the conclusions you come to separately.
Well, I think we're in the Dragon Reach somewhere. I just don't know where.
Well, the question is, do we simply want to tell the ship to go to, if we can't go more than one place, if the bottle is useless after this, perhaps it would be pertinent then to land near the forest and simply set it on foot from there.
I really would like to go to Elmwood. I have a contact there. We could use reprovisioning. We could use healing.
We got gold. We can get that anywhere we go.
Not if there's no settlement in the way. Where do you think we are in the Dragon Reach?
Personally, I believe we're closest to Harrowdale.
Harrowdale? If we're already there, then we could make it to Elmwood, I think. That means we're less than a day away.
Less than a day is still far from ideal.
Well, I'll tell you what. Have you ever been up the Dragon Reach? It gets real fucking narrow. Land will be on either side. If this ship takes on too much water, we'll be able to deviate ad hoc. We won't be in the middle of this giant bay.
Okay, so I'd rather be in Harrowdale with a ship than I would be halfway to Elmwood with no ship and all of our gold down with it.
How long do I think this vessel can last in this current state?
Make a wisdom saving throw. Tierney, you know a couple things about ships. Not many, but you know that one cannonball, a single shot, is able to sink and scuttle even a massive battleship. Looking around you at the damage that has been done to Sparrow, you know that no mere ship would be able to survive this. You have a sense that no ship could have even gotten you as far as you are right now. You realize that this ship, skimming through the water with no sails, no rudder, barely a bottom, feasibility is perhaps out the window.
I don't think this is a normal situation, Grint. We have no sails. We're taking on water. The front mast is currently occluding the bow of the ship, yet we still go faster than any ship I've ever seen by a long margin. I think the ship can make it. And if we were going to sink, 40 knots with a gaping wound in her starboard bow, or her starboard side, would have caused us to sink long ago. I think the ship can make it.
Well, in that regard, I suppose I agree. And since that is the case, I really don't think there's much use in throwing anything off the boat then.
There's a use.
Is that really?
Yeah. It gives everyone something to do. You want everyone on the ship thinking about that dragon?
No, that's right. Catch us.
Yeah, I know. But you know what will catch us? Each other.
No, you know what will catch us? As pirates. I'd rather not have everybody exhausted from moving shit around.
Can Lauren hear this through the absolutely Swiss cheesed boat?
It does not sound like they're being very subtle, and yes, there is extreme acoustic issues now that the ship has holes in almost every surface and every deck.
Mid tossing a board overboard. He'll drop it on the deck, follow on it. I assume you guys are all down on the second deck, correct?
We were second deck, I think, yeah.
Yeah, we are.
I'd have to agree. How long has it been at this point since the boat has received massive damage?
You think it's probably been about an hour, maybe two. It's hard to judge time. Adrenaline is still heavy in your veins.
Alright, fair enough, Grint. Let's
Honestly, I would
rally
say
everybody.
Let's rest up well before we get there.
Yes, let's post a copious watch. Is Eden still above there? We need to get him and put him in a bed.
Was Eden still on the top deck as Lauren went down?
Yeah, so I think Lauren was throwing things over the side, right?
Yeah, just random extra planks or nonsense.
Yeah. I think that he was just watching him do that. And then maybe curious about the nature of the boat, he might have been paying attention to, like, if he's taking pieces of the wood that comprise the boat, like pieces of the deck or the hull, he'll watch that motion on the water to sort of see, like, is it still carrying the momentum? Is, like, the wood itself carrying the enchantment of the boat?
You have a moment where you attempt to ascertain how small of a piece of this spelljammer is still considered a piece of the boat. You watch as Lauren throws chunk after chunk of important seeming wood over the side. You wait to see, perhaps will it assemble into another boat? Will it fall right along as if never disconnected? You imagine it a bit like pieces of yourself. If we cut off your ear and you can't hear anymore, you feel a sense of oneness with the ship as you watch Lorne throw what must be vital pieces of itself over the side.
Almost callously. It's as if he has no reverence for this thing.
It has no immediate use, let's throw it away.
Correct.
I'd like to find Eden at the top and drag him downstairs. I assume Alan is still poking around the second deck.
Yeah. She's just kind of trying to figure out what to do with herself at this point.
Eden,
It doesn't necessarily feel right to throw things off the boat.
Eden, go downstairs, get some rest.
As if he's one of Lawrence reanimated, he just turns on his heel and does just that.
You do so.
I'm left upstairs with this infernal automaton.
It's just standing there.
It's
Most of I might have told it to toss literally nonsense over there. With its one arm.
It shovels the air, looking blankly ahead. Alan, you miss your couch.
I always miss my couch.
There are no cozy spaces on this boat anymore. Everywhere you look, there is saltwater, blood, broken boards.
I think that Alan would go into the room that Eden's in and just kind of sit on the floor next to whatever bed he's laying in and just be close by. She may rest as well, but, you know, is just there in case he needs something.
You sit. The boards here are soaked through with salt water. There is silty, cold water everywhere.
On the second deck?
No surfaces are spared. Each wave froths seawater, sending cold waves throughout the inner structure of the ship. You can take a short rest on board Sparrow, but that's all.
Yeah, I think I would definitely try to get a short rest in for sure.
Alan takes a short rest.
Grant. The man aboard is your quarry. What to do with him?
Shove him in the water.
Very less he then. He will order him to walk the plank.
You do so. Silently and without hesitation, he walks off the side of the ship. His heavy copper armor immediately pulls him under the waves.
I'm shocked by this.
As he walks off, Grin says, Great Tempest, we disparage not those who fall before us. Today we teach, tomorrow we learn.
You have a sense that a great many people learned lessons today. The sun rises in the sky. You have a sense of land to your east and your west.
Or will, after doing so, do his best to take a short rest as well.
Same.
I can't
Curling
rest.
up in whatever dry linens there are.
As the adrenaline is leaving, Grin is definitely gonna. Well, he can't go down his fucking couch. Oh, you had to get my couch. Now I know. Now I know Alan's pain.
Yes, now you know.
Now I know.
You-
Grin's gonna take a bed.
The grief is setting in.
You feel uniquely violated. One of the worst ways of disturbing a humanoid creature is ruining a space that they thought was their own. You feel intense psychological terror. I'm sorry, go ahead, Warren.
What of Lauren's pillow?
What of Lauren's pillow? It's wet. You can cry into it if you'd like.
He shed no tears, but stuff it into his pack for later.
You do so. You have a down feather pillow in your pack. It takes up lots of space, but it is soft and gives you a sense of security.
Down feather pillows, when they get wet, they smell horrible. On a side note.
It's difficult to...
Probably smells weird.
Speaking of smelling worse, the entire ship smells a variety of disgusting smells right now. The blood of the dragon is acidic smelling and foul. A number of people were disemboweled on deck, and it is extremely hard to get that smell out of your nostrils. The ship itself smells like a ruin. Cringe Cromwell. You see something. You are taking a brief respite, attempting to rest your eyes. You see, distantly, a human settlement. off the starboard side of the ship. You can see it distantly, perhaps at 1 o'clock of the ship right now. You don't recognize it offhand. It's set into the mountains. Looks like a small trading town. You see a number of docks and ships docked there.
Yeah, still, that's the east, yeah.
It's to the east.
Yeah, we're gonna go down and stop there. He thinks nothing of it.
You watch as the eastern coast goes past you at great speed. Looking up above you, there are no sails, yet the wind seems to propel the ship forward.
Grinch just thinking about how he wanted to kill that dragon. And how he might now have a grudge against all dragons.
You stoke a grudge against all dragons. Anything draconic seems to uniquely offend you. You realize that you did not get a fair fight. It did not even acknowledge the fact that you swung at its neck. You've never met an opponent like that before. It did not even deign to fight you. You feel insulted.
It attacked first. Like, it lands, attacks, refuses to elaborate, and leaves. Like, absolute bullshit.
Your armor gleams.
I'm glad I'm wearing the armor. Grint is glad to have this armor. Wish he had more armor made out of dragons.
You feel a sense of pride and purpose. You feel that you're stoking something inside yourself that's going to stick. The sun is high in the sky now. You realize it must be noon. The land around the reach is narrowing. Sparrow continues to get closer to its destination, you can only assume.
I'm above deck, staring at the sky.
You stare up at the sky. Dawn also brought a break in the clouds. It's a partly cloudy morning. The salt air buffets your face, Tierney. Given better circumstances, it might even be a nice day.
At this point, I think Alan would have had her short rest and is going to go up to the top deck with Tyranny. And to try and lighten the mood, she's going to take off her robe. And she's going to be like, hey, Tyranny, look at this. And she's going to take it off and turn around. Let it blow in the wind. She'll kind of crack a little smile and just be silent.
You try to cajole Tierney.
I'll smile a little bit, but then try to hide it.
Tyranny,
Alan,
you know it's better than watching this thing blow in the wind?
what's that?
Us working together to push that dude off the ship.
Yeah, that was good. You are rising to the challenge somewhat, Alan.
Somewhat. It's so backhanded.
Up to your expectations, I guess.
So
They
back.
are high expectations.
That's not unobtainable.
Whatever that was
Is Eden
planned.
still with us?
Yeah, he's still resting.
I can't believe the ship is still sailing. I almost don't want to go down there.
Yeah, well, it's magical. It'll make its way where it needs to go. I wonder, though, when we get to our destination, I wonder if it's just going to succumb to the casualties that have happened.
Well, as the events of the last few days have shown us, even magic breaks.
You're not wrong.
I hope we can find my contact in Elmwood.
Who's your contact?
I don't know.
Oh?
Yeah, I don't know.
But how do you have a contact but you don't know who they are?
We were supposed to meet the captain in Selgaunt. We didn't know who he was. Sarah Loon, was it? Last few days are blurring together. We were going to find an artifact at the Temple of Mystra. We didn't know what that was. Providence
So-
brings us to the things we want and need.
Got it, so you're speaking it into existence. You don't know that you have a contact, but you're saying that you do.
I have good information that there's some respite in Elmwood.
Sounds good. Harpers have connections everywhere, so I'm sure I could be of assistance.
Yeah. I'm glad we're going to make it there.
Me
We
too.
are going to make it there.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna make it there. No doubt about it.
Alan,
Tierney?
don't push me again.
You deserved it.
I didn't.
You did. You turned your back on a friend.
I didn't.
You did.
I was... You know, Alan, I couldn't have saved him. Why would I run up there and put my hands in his guts and try and save him when I have no use or purpose? I did what I do best. Solve the problems I can solve.
You lacked any emotion, and it made me feel a type of way. I won't push you again unless you deserve it. Deserve it in my opinion.
The world only exists in Alan's opinion.
I don't think that's true.
You think it, and so it's not so? I'll smile at you.
You're an asshole, you know that?
Of course.
At this point, I believe Lauren would have gotten his short rest through as well. Would come knocking on the door where Eden's currently left. Do you live?
I think Eden's sitting up in bed, like staring out the porthole.
Yes, you have a helpful new window created by the combat. You have a wonderful view of the ocean, and you can see far to your east land. Lauren, you arrive at Eden's newfound cabin.
So you live.
Eden turns and looks at Lauren and then nods after a moment.
I'll take one admittance here. I've handled many dead things. I've ended more than I'd like to count. Of all the things I could have brought back, I'm glad at least it was you.
I think
That's sweet.
Eden's like thinking about it. He almost has this expression like Lauren just decked him in the face. And he doesn't say anything, but tears start streaming down his cheeks and his shoulders start shaking, and you can't tell if he's angry or mad or it's just a lot there.
Lord gives the moment time to breathe before responding. You remind me of me a very long time ago. Keep true to your heart.
Eden, I think, grabs his shoulder, holds it there, and then lets go.
Keep true to your heart. He looks up, as if to mention the people above. And they need it.
I think we missed the first part of that.
Sorry, he says, and they need it.
And again, it's hard. There's like disgust and hatred and just a lot that's like he's working through, but he nods again, still not saying anything.
Warren does not crack a smile or a frown. It's a painful, stoic expression.
Tierney and Alan, on deck, roll perception.
18.
Nat 20. Plus 5.
You both notice something. The ship is veering slightly to the east as it approaches the narrowest point of the reach. You see land closing in around you.
Well, sounds like we're arriving. Or at least approaching.
Small fishing villages dot this area.
I like those.
Alan, as you pass, you see two small children pointing at the ship like it's a spectacle. They're quickly left behind.
Elmwood's west,
Imagine.
you know.
What did you say?
Elmwood's west, you know. We're tacking east.
That doesn't make much sense.
Oh, maybe the river runs east. I've never been this far north. I guess this isn't a river. I guess this is a strait.
Is, what's it called? What's that place with the mages, you know, the fancy place we're thinking about going to?
Mithranor.
Mithranor?
Yeah. Do you think maybe it's taking us to Mithranor?
Mr. Door's also to the west across the board.
It is?
I'll-
Oh, yeah.
I will look east and west and see if I see dense forest.
Looking to the east, you see myriad tiny human villages set at the bottom of the foothills. Looking west, you see the densest forest you've ever seen in your entire life. Deciduous trees like a green plague on the land.
No. That's the Cormanthor. I'll point at the woods. That's gotta be Vesperin or some other rotten human settlement.
So do you want to try to use the bottle again? Maybe it's trying to take us somewhere to mend itself? I don't know.
Maybe. Let's wait it out. I want to see what our destination is. I don't want to do anything hasty. We have one charge left. We need to get where we need to go. We all have grand promise here.
Of course. But what if it just takes us out into the middle of nowhere?
Well, it's taken us this far. I don't want to do anything rash or out of anxiety. I say we don't drink the bottle. Just because maybe things are a little uncertain. Trust in Providence. Pray to Tamora. If she can hear you.
I don't pray to anybody.
How lonely. You don't fool me, Alan Vaughn.
I don't know what you think I'm trying to fool you with.
Anyone else?
But would still be below decks at this point.
On decks, you see in front of you an opening. This must be the Moonsea. You realize how far you've come. To your west, where the Moonsea touches the land, you see a tiny human settlement. It is surrounded by fields of golden grain. There is a tiny dock there in the distance. You are approaching it.
It's another family to me. After to see how our travels are going. Or should I leave you to it then?
Are you talking to Eden or are you talking to Kieran?
Yeah, Lauren is talking to Eden at this point. Basically asking, should he leave him there, or do you want to come up top?
Eden doesn't say anything. He's just looking out the window again.
I will leave it to you then. He'll join the party on the top.
The land looks close through your makeshift window, Eden. Arriving on deck, Lorne, you see a settlement, and the ship is pointed directly toward it. Above you, where the sails would be, the wind catches nothing.
I admit I've never been to this part of the world. I know not much of Elmwood, but that doesn't look to be it.
You are approaching quickly. You find yourself somewhere new. If the Temple of Lathander was the wound on Toril, what will become of the sleepy pastoral town of Elmwood? This town is little more than a grain port where wheat and rye farmers bring their harvest to sell. There is a single grimy tavern with rooms for a copper. You are approaching the dock as we speak. Up above, seabirds circle your ship with interest.
Alan will wander downstairs if she's able to get down there and just see if the gold lasted, since she moved it towards the staircase in case we need to use some of it.
It has been moved around quite a bit, but you can find the chest of gold. You're lucky, Alan.
Nice. Very nice. Alright, well, I have some in my pockets. I don't know. Any idea how much I have on my body?
You have 106 gold on your body.
Got it. Alright. I'll put that in the manifest. Alan's never too exhausted for fishing, so she'll fish.
Roll survival. And what do you use to fish with?
It'll be a 13, and I think we have a fishing net somewhere, if it didn't get destroyed.
You still have your net. You dip it into the water, sifting through a new source of sea. You've never fished these waters before. Unfortunately, you don't come up with anything. As you approach the dock, you realize how shallow the water here is. You may have more luck in open waters. With a sudden click and chunk, the ship delicately brushes up against the dock and stops. Down below, you have a sense that the keel of the ship is dragging along the sandy bottom. You find yourself somewhere in Elmwood.
I did say I didn't know this world.
We made it.
Yeah, we did. The ship is not looking so good, though. I'm sure we're going to be a spectacle for everyone, considering the way that the ship looks.
Oh, I'm not very worried.
When you disembark, we end the session. So, is there anything you'd like to address before we do that? Any questions about the town? Any future plans for the immediate... Go ahead.
Are we all above deck?
You can be. I have placed, you don't have to be on deck, but I have placed all of you here on deck so you can arrange yourselves. You can be below deck, just say so.
Am I seeing a hay vessel?
Yes, that is exactly right. You see what appears to be a small ship for transporting grain, easily 1/3 the size of yours. You notice that they have sails. You feel a bit jealous. They're on deck, and going into their cargo hold, there is stack after stack after stack after stack of grain.
What human life do I see?
You see human life here on just distantly at the edge of the dock. You see an old man sitting on a bale of hay. He has short brown hair, and he has a donkey with him. It is gnawing contemplatively at the corner of the bale. The donkey looks up at you suspiciously. The old man smiles.
Well, that's nice welcoming. Unusual.
Now that the town isn't on fire and infested with demons,
Yeah,
I take it as a comfort.
feels pretty homey.
Small settlements are probably a boon. They don't rely on magic. They don't have mages running them. They don't lose anything when the spell plague happens.
Perhaps they're even unaware.
Perhaps they're even unaware. Well, here we are. I think we should stay the night here. I am feeling like
Yes.
shit.
Absolutely. I could really go for a shower.
Where's here? In town?
I'm gonna canvas around, pay somebody to stay in their house, stay in a tavern, or an inn.
Yep.
There is one tavern you could limp to without significantly disrupting the arc of things here. There's a placard outside in the shape of an equine head. It's got pointy little ears and a long snout. There are X's where the eyes would be, and the nose and the mouth are made of words. The dead horse.
Interesting.
Do you wish to stay at the Dead Horse tonight? Rooms are extremely inexpensive.
Yes.
Okay. Describe to me your party arrangement here. There's a few things remaining to be filled in on this map. You'll have to bear with me.
I assume that we're all a hot mess.
You are. That is why you will limp into town. You will pay for a room with your desperate golds and coppers. There are three rooms here with 3 beds. Some of you may need to sleep on the floor. Please describe to me how your sleeping arrangements and any watch arrangements for tonight, the 3rd day of the spell plague. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Grin.
Brink is going to suggest that they cover the gold chest in tarp, blanket, something, carry it off the boat, bring it with them. Make sure it's concealed, but make sure it's with them.
Let's do it.
I think that's reasonable.
Dude,
Grin, roll a stealth check.
Gladly.
Noted carefully. Go ahead and place yourselves in your arrangement in these 3 rooms. And one more time, go ahead and give me any kind of watch instructions. Obviously, this is totally optional, but any type of watch instructions or anything detailed before you lay your wonderful heavy heads down for the night.
I will
I'm
grab a blanket from our ship if it wasn't already, because I know we tried to keep some dry linens. If there's a dry one, I'll just grab one of those and a dry pillow, and I'll bunk up with Eden, but I'll take the floor.
I'll
So
bunk
I-
with. Sorry, go ahead, Eden.
I was gonna say I think Eden's pretty reluctant to leave the boat. He's not vocally fighting, but he's not necessarily going to just follow the party.
Really? Well, I feel like Alan would definitely recognize that, considering she's been keeping a very heavy eye on you. Eden, are you alright?
He doesn't respond.
You guys go ahead. On ahead. I'll stay here with Eden.
We should stay together.
Agreed.
also agreed. We're in no shape to be onset by anyone if we're separate at this point.
Eden, is there a reason you want to stay on the ship?
He again does not respond.
Come, let's go to the tavern. We'll keep a watch.
I will take the back then and make sure Eden follows suit.
Okay, they will have to drag him.
Grant is going to approach Eden. He'll say, "Hey, you didn't die, all right? Came close. You tried, but you didn't. So come on, get walking."
He looks down at Grint, but again says nothing.
What's the matter? Can't catch your tongue? Huh? Forget how to speak? Didn't know you were alone.
He just continues looking.
Do you want Uncle Grant to carry you?
That doesn't even get a smile out of him.
Grant tries to pick him up. He puts the chest of coins down.
It's a little bit like handling a corpse. He's very stiff. But he does not necessarily fight Grint if Grint is insistent on this course of action.
Grant picks up and says, "All right. Some warm food, warm bed. You get a ride in the rain."
What do you do with the chest of gold? Do you leave it there by your foot?
Well, Grant would say someone else either carry it, just watch it, just because Grant will go put you down and come back and get it if necessary.
Okay.
Okay.
If Tyranny needs assistance, Alan would help.
You can carry it if you want. I don't care.
I don't want to carry it on my own, but
We'll take
I
a
don't
side
think
each.
Yeah.
Okay, see, don't do that. Don't let people know it's heavy. Just have one person carry it, because if they see two people carrying a thing wrapped in blankets, that's a little bit suspicious.
True.
Fine, you take it, Alan. Probably stronger than me.
You think? I guess I did push you to the ground. It's pretty easy.
Damn.
Alan will carry it.
You do so.
I will take first watch. I will share with Grint, and I will take the floor.
God, really? You're gonna share with Grant? And I suggest for your own sanity, you don't do that.
Well, it's either share with
Sure.
the necromancer or share with the person who might slightly keep me up at night.
Slightly, honestly, Grant feels insulted by that. Really slightly.
Sorry.
Snoring will shake that boat. All right.
I watched Lauren raise the dead in front of us, and I would prefer not to sleep in a room with him.
Fine. I mean, buyer beware.
So I'll take a room by myself. I
All
can't
you,
assure you,
Lauren.
at least I am quiet.
A little too quiet.
Eden, would you like to be alone? If you don't want to have company, I'm happy to share with Lauren.
Of all people, I didn't expect her to trust me in the room more than anyone else.
Yeah, I trust you.
Keep an eye on Eden, okay?
Yeah, Grant would definitely suggest that Loki as well.
Alan, keep an eye on Eden.
I mean, I want to, but I don't want to invade his privacy.
He doesn't give a response either way, so.
Privacy is far gone amongst us at this point.
I think that Alan's not really going to. She wants to rest, but I think that she wants to give Eden his space and also keep an eye on him. So she's going to maybe not stay in the room, kind of stay nearby. This is a tavern, I would assume, so she may like sit out for a drink and then peek in and check on him. And if anybody else is taking watch, she might trade places occasionally.
Grant, can I trust you to take second watch?
Hey,
You slept on the boat, I did not. I'll take first watch.
I'll take Eden watch.
There we go.
in which room did we store the chest? Let's talk about that.
Whatever
Alright.
room you're in.
Yeah,
Whatever
okay.
room you're in.
The room of martial power.
Agreed.
If you were to wake any of us, try to steal the chest, I hope it would be great.
Any final instructions before you fall asleep?
We should definitely eat and drink today, I think. Yeah, like, can we assume the tavern, we bought rack
what I was actually going to do, we will resolve the manifest first thing next session.
Okay.
So don't worry about it right now. So let's call it right there. Some scheduling things before I lose your attention. So next week, I'm out 2 people. Is that right? On the 1st. So next week is April 1st. I'm out Lorne, Fulmari, and who else? Tierney. Okay, so I'm out 2 people next week. What about the 8th? So 2 weeks from today. Is everybody good for that? Can we resume as normal 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Okay. So
So are we gonna play next week, or are we going to hold off on session?
I will. So TBA, if we do anything, it may be some one-off. Like I have some experimental, like watch as a session kind of stuff. So there's content we could probably run. Let me see how some of that comes together, and I'll try to give you at least a few days notice. But let's plan on. Let's plan around not playing on the 1st. If we do play on the 1st, that's great. If not, no worries. But we'll definitely resume 2 weeks from today for some incredibly climactic Sparrow.
Sounds very good.
Good session. Thanks for playing.
That dragon was a pussy. Just saying.
I'm glad he flew away, man. I kind of think attacking him was the right thing. We drove him back.
Perhaps so.
But you think attacking him was what made him leave?
Yeah, something else definitely made him leave. I don't know what it was, but he wasn't. I mean, he could have just killed us and been like, bye, you did.
I just really like Grint's initial plea. That's definitely better than
That
what
was so
what-
good, and then he rolled super low.
See, so this is why I don't play charisma characters. And actually, Taldred was my first charisma character. I was like, I'll give this charisma thing a go, but then it's like, no matter the words you use, the roll will fuck you every time. And so I don't do it. I don't play charisma anymore. That was my one try and didn't like it.
I thought you I thought you did an excellent job with that. I love the way you played that out. I love the play. I think one of the things that balances social characters versus combat characters is either way, eventually it's going to end up on dice, right? In that case, it definitely felt extremely unfair, and it was one of those things where I kind of felt like maybe you should have had advantage there potentially, but no, I thought your plea was well received, but you saw how it played out.
In combat, there's a lot more rolls, so randomness is a little bit more muted, and definitely for diplomacy-based characters, it's feast or famine.
Exactly, right?
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Just put the dice in Tamora's hands and let her roll.
That's funny. We have a character in my in-person campaign that's been on hiatus. My friend Dan plays Kathy. I think she's a paladin or something like that. But we always have to tell him to roll like Neela, which is his familiar, because Neela always rolls high. So we always tell him, just pretend that you're Neela and roll, and it works. So I don't know. There's some sort of some energy behind that.
Some things are just blood. Some things are just not meant to be.
I sense a lot of energy either way. Well, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you for the exceptional session. I'll try to let you guys know what we do with the bye week next week.
Sounds good.
Okay.
See you later, folks.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.